guys, welcome back to Heritage Hollow Homestead. Today I have a little extra time before I have to start suppers, and I'm canning up some chicken that I got up for sale. So I'm going to be canning that up really quick. This is a super easy raw pack method for canning chicken. So I'm going to take you along, show you how to do this really quick, and just show you how simple it is. And this chicken can be used in things like, for us, we would use it in chicken and dumplings, some different chicken casseroles, chicken noodle soup, chicken quesadillas, just to name a few. Those are some of the things that we would use it the most in. But if you have any chicken recipe that calls for any type of cooked, canned, shredded chicken, any of those, white chicken chili, some people make like a chicken tortilla soup, any kind of chicken soup, chicken and rice soup, any of those, this is going to be great for it. Oh, and chicken, if you like to make chicken salad, this would be great for that as well. So, enough about that. I'm going to turn this around, I'm going to chop up my chicken, I'm going to show you what else is going on as well. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that I clearly state that I'm using a pressure canner for this. When you are canning any type of meat, you need to use a pressure canner, and you need to follow your instructions very carefully. Okay, so behind me I'm going to be using quart jars, but you could use pints, doesn't matter. I'm using quart jars. I have them I have my canner filled up to about here with water. I have my jars in there, and they are starting to get hot. And beside of it over there, right there, I have a kettle of hot water, boiling water, getting ready as well. Now I'm going to go chop up my chicken. Okay guys, so over here I have some extra packs of boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I got on sale. I'm going to be cutting these up and cubing them up into 1-inch cubes. I've got my cutting board over here, and I'm going to be chopping those up really quick. Okay, so these are boneless, skinless chicken breasts. They're pretty large. I want to lay them out here, and then I'm just going to be cutting them up into little, like 1-inch chunks, okay? Also, I want to remind you to be very safe and careful and clean when you are using any type of raw chicken, so that you do not make anyone sick. Okay, so I chopped up my chicken, and now I am going to bring my jar over, and I'm going to fill it up, leaving a 1 1/4 inch headspace on my jar. So I'll bring that over and show you how to do that. Okay guys, so my jars have been heating up in my hot water in my canner. And I am going to use my that's hot. My jar grabber here. I'm going to grab me a jar. I had these filled up with water so they would sit up straight. So we're going to be pouring that water out. And I'll be bringing this with me. Okay. So we have this right here. Okay, usually this is where I would put my my top on this, my little green thing that I set on top. I cannot find that. I can't even think of what it's called, but that's fine. I'm just going to be dropping these in. I'll try to not touch the rim with it, okay? And I'm going to be putting 2 chicken breasts in each, if they will fit in each quart. These are pretty large chicken breast. I'm pretty confident that 2 will fit in each jar. Okay. That was exactly 2. So a few tips for canning your chicken is that you do not have to use just chicken breast, which is what I'm using here, boneless, skinless chicken breast. You can use any kind of chicken. You can even can your chicken with bone in, like if you want to can chicken legs. And sometimes the processing time is different for bone in versus bone out. Is slightly different timing. That would be the only difference, but you can use any kind of chicken that you would prefer. And if you also, I wanted to mention that if you would like to season your chicken with some salt and pepper and go ahead and throw it in the skillet and lightly brown it, you do not want to cook your chicken all the way through, but so you can do that. You can pre-cook your chicken and season it, and that will be just fine. Okay guys, behind me I have my chicken is all chopped up and ready. My jars, I just pulled them out and they're nice of the hot water from my canner that is heating up, so those are nice and hot. And before I put the chicken in, I'm going to go ahead and be adding in at least a half of a teaspoon of this canning salt. If you're using a pint, I would suggest that you don't have to add any salt, but use at least half a teaspoon. If you're using quart, you can use up to a teaspoon. It would be fine. I'm just going to go ahead and use just a half teaspoon of this. I'm going to add that to each one of my jars first, just so I don't forget. Okay. Okay. Okay, next I'm going to be taking my chopped up chicken right here. I'm going to be adding that into each one of my jars, leaving 1 1/4 inch headspace. A few things that I wanted to mention here are that one, I am using quart size jars, but that is not necessary. You can also use pint size jars. And I'm also using wide mouth jars because they are so much easier to fill anytime you're using larger chunks or pieces of something that you're canning. The wide mouth jars are not only much easier to fill, but then when it is time to open them and pour out the ingredients that are inside of it, they're just much easier to empty out as well. But though that is not necessary, that's just a preference, and I had these wide mouth jars, and so that's what I'm using. And when you're putting this much chicken into a quart size jar, if you're a smaller family like we are of just 4 people, you could easily get 2 meals out of 1 jar. So if you are a smaller family and you want to use a pint size jar, you could easily get an entire meal from 1 pint. Like I could use 1 pint to just to make a night's worth of chicken soup or quesadillas. That would be plenty of chicken in one of these for us. So if you have a larger family, I'd definitely go with quarts, or just know you may have to open 2 pints. If you're a smaller family, you could easily get by with 1 pint per meal. And I think I already spoke of this earlier, but the reason why we are not filling these up with liquid is because this chicken is going to release a lot of liquid as it cooks. And that will fill up in the jar, and you'll also have that extra liquid to use when you're cooking as well. Okay guys, so I have used this end of my little tool here to kind of push all my chicken down in there, make sure it's all together. I'll show you that. I'm going to do my measuring. So the highest point here, like this point right here, is 1 inch. And so I'm going to imagine that there's another little step right here, and that is how much headspace I need to leave. Which all of these are fine, but I'm just checking. So I would check by being like that. Okay, we're good. So the reason for that is because as this chicken cooks, all the juices from the chicken are going to come out and fill the jar with liquids as well. And we do not want these jars so full of chicken that there will not be any space left for our juices, okay? Okay guys, so I have filled up those jars, and now I'm going to wash the rims, okay? Okay, so now I need to put on my rings, and what I want to show you is whenever I put this ring on and I go to tighten it down, I'm just going to do one quick tight. I'm not going to like really tighten it down super tight, because that could actually, so you just wanted to be able to do that, and then one little turn, and then don't force it anymore, because the air that is inside of this jar needs to be able to still escape to create that vacuum seal, okay? So you can cook your chicken before you can it. This is just a lot faster, obviously, if you don't have to have more pots and pans dirtied up and pre-cook it first. But you can, if that's your thing. And I have done that, and I actually have some of that kind of my shredded chicken that's already cooked on my shelf as well. And I made some chicken soup from it just a week or two ago, and it was really good. So this is what we have. Next step is going to move all of our jars back over into our hot water, the pressure canner, okay? Okay guys, so we have all of those back into our water. Our water's nice and hot in there, and I'm going to place the lid on this, and then I'm going to wait for it to come up to steam. Okay, so I have my lid up here. I'm going to get it clamped down on there, and I'm going to be twisting it until it is closed and all the arrows are nice and lined up. Okay. Alright, that is heavy. And now I'm going to wait for steam to start to come out of here. And once there is a V-shaped steady stream of steam coming out of here, I will start a timer for 10 minutes, and I will be letting this vent for 10 minutes before we move on to the next step. Okay, we have hit a steady stream of steam right here, if you can see that. Oh, it's hard to catch it on camera. There we go. So I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Okay guys, it has been 10 minutes of letting this steam, and my little thing here has popped up. So now I'm going to be adding my weight. This is 10 pounds. The thing by itself is 5, and then this ring is 5 more. So I'm going to be adding that on there. Just like that. And when this begins to jiggle, like that, Then I will set my timer for 90 minutes. 90 minutes for quart jars. If you are doing this with pint jars, you will, once this begins to jiggle, you will process for 75 minutes. But we will not start our time until this comes up to pressure and begins to jiggle. Okay guys, so we are jiggling, as I like to call it, and now that that has begun, I am going to set my timer right over here for 90 minutes. Okay, and I'm just going to allow this to go for that 90 minutes. And this is exactly what you want to be hearing. Okay guys, my time is up and I have turned off my stove eye. And I'm going to let this sit here and cool down. I'm not going to remove the jiggler. I'm just going to let it sit here until everything is cooled down and my valve has went back down. So now you can tell here that this means the pressure has been released and I removed my jiggler, and I'll continue to let this depressurize for about 10 minutes before opening my lid. You do not want to open your lid until you make sure that everything has depressurized. If you open it too soon, you will crack all of the jars in your inside of your pressure canner. So as I remove this, you can see in there, and these are very hot. You'll want to move them onto a towel onto the counter, and you'll let those sit for 24 hours. And try not to move them around. You don't want to sit them anywhere where it's too cold. The temperature change could cause the jars to crack. And then lastly, you want to check and make sure that all of your lids have sealed properly. Once your 24 hours have passed and your seals are you've made sure all your jar lids have sealed properly, then you can store these away. As you can tell, they're not the best looking. They're not very pretty, but they will be tasty. Hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching.